So it's my absolute joy. I wish I could do this with a video, but anyway, I'll try. I'll carry on to introduce Ed Anderson and Christine Tolbert, who are here today also to listen. And I'm just going to ask Ed to kick off introducing himself and then passing on to Christine. I think probably all of you know both of them, but I'd like them to just explain who they are and why they're here today. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Kate. So my name's Ed Anderson. I'm the Lord Lieutenant of West Yorkshire, which means that I have the honour of being the Queen's representative here in this county, and I've held that position for nearly 2 years now. But I also have the great privilege of being holding an honorary position with both the community foundations that are represented here today. So I'm very privileged to be a patron of the Leeds Community Foundation and the honorary president of Community Foundation for Calderdale. I'm absolutely delighted to be with you all today and really looking forward to hearing your stories over the course of the next hour.
Brilliant. Sorry, Christine.
Yes, I'll pick up there. My co-presenter Ed today. Yes, I'm Christine Tolbert. I'm the presenter. Can you hear me okay, everybody? Yeah. Good. I'm Christine Talbot.
Cover. Yeah.
Sorry, my hearing, so I don't know if I'm getting something coming in. No, I'll carry on now, yeah. So I'm Christine. I'm the presenter of Calendar at ITV Yorkshire, which I have been doing since 2001. So it's 20 years, nearly 20 years next year. So that's amazing. But I've also been at Yorkshire for a long time presenting other programmes as well. So you may know me from there. Obviously, we've had a really weird time in lockdown, lots of safety measures put in place at ITV. So at the moment, we're currently presenting single-handed every night. Normally, I have a co-presenter, Duncan Wood or John Shires or David Hurst, whoever is the other co-presenter that night. But we've been doing it differently. So weird times and working more from home as well. I'm also very lucky to be an ambassador for the Leeds Community Foundation, which is a huge honour. When I found out the work that is done and all the different groups involved, I didn't hesitate to say yes when I was asked to be an ambassador. And I've learned so much about the work that's going on in our local community since then. So it's a huge pleasure really to be here today and to kind of guide us through the meeting. And I'm going to be doing the introductions and bringing everybody in to talk about the work that they have been doing, all of you have been doing during this really weird last few months. So that is the whole aim of today. And I'm going to bring in now the first person on my list. Is that okay? So the first person is Kaz Nazmi from the Keighley Association of Women and Children's Centre in Bradford. So the Keighley Association of Women and Children's Centre, I've also got it here as abbreviated. I don't know if we say it this way, I'll just go KAWACC. You'll have to correct me on this if I've got this wrong. It's a registered charity, a voluntary organisation which adopts a holistic view of women, young people and children's development. It was established in 1985 and the charity continually undertakes intense outreach work to ensure it's abreast of current issues and emerging trends. The organisation has developed a reputation for designing and delivering innovative and responsive activities. So can I hand you over now to Kaz to explain a little bit about what you've been doing during the lockdown period?
First of all, can I just say my name's Naz, not Taz. Typo there for you.
I've got Kaz Nazmi here, but it's the wrong way around. You're Naz Kazmi.
It's Naz Kazmi, yeah.
That's a good start, isn't it?
Okay, I thought
It's not an autocue, therefore.
Don't worry.
Sorry.
Don't worry. It's Naz Kazmi. I'm the manager for the organisation, and I've been here since 2009. Again, it's coming back to a needs-driven organisation, and we're here to provide provisions for women and children. And we try to tailor needs of women and children, and we're looking at different areas. Again, always step in when there's a need out there, you know, and to support the women and children of our community. So is there anything else you'd like to, or my background or the organisation's background? I can't hear you. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, Naz. Can you explain a little bit how have you managed to work while in lockdown?
Right. Can I just say a big, massive thank you to the Leeds Community Foundation. They've been absolutely a massive support in this time. We applied for the resilience funding, which we received from Leeds Community Foundation, and that supported us in about developing a different method of engagement. So it was like bridging the gap together, because before it was more face-to-face, but then everything had to be transformed into virtual. So it's virtual learning, virtual things. There was other things there was other implications like recruiting volunteers, coordinating volunteers, because quite a lot of things changed. There was a different need at the time where people lost their jobs, people didn't get their universal credits in time, so there was a massive gap there. So we worked in partnership with a couple of the food banks to support some of the families, the very, very vulnerable, disadvantaged families. So we did food parcels, we did lots of drops, and we will, I mean, later on you'll be able to speak to one of the volunteers who helped to support in delivering and offering that support to the community.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. Are you able to introduce your volunteer to us? She's sitting.
Yes, of course. This is Samina Khalifa, and she's been helping us through this period, and she's been absolutely a vital resource, should I say, to the organisation, and an asset, and absolutely fantastic. It's just some of the things that I'll hand it over to her so she can speak.
Yeah, hi everyone. As Naz said, my name's Samina, and I'm a volunteer here at KAWACC. A couple of the things that we've been doing that are really that were really prevalent at the time here. There were young families, young people, bereavement, mental health. And what we've been doing as volunteers, although it has been an emotional process, we've been provided with a lot of support from KAWACC and the manager first of all, and we've provided food parcels to people in the community. I mean, as Naz said, there's been a lot of people that have lost their jobs, we've gone through financial difficulties, lost all benefits, and it's been really difficult for them. So for them, we were their support system, and we tried as hard as we could, and we're still trying now, just to make sure that we are supporting them in any way that we can. We did deliver food parcels to them. We made sure we had our protective PPE, can I say, with the masks and gloves, and we left food parcels at the door for them, just knocked on the door and walked to the end of the garden. And we also had, because obviously during this time of lockdown, a lot of people felt really isolated and alone. And it's not just people in the community, I think that's everyone has been feeling like that. And we wanted to be there for them, and we did garden talks with them, just so we can go up to them, have a little chat with them, see how they are, see if there's anything that they need from us, or if there's any support that they need, and just be a friend to them as well when they are alone. I mean, a lot of people were not able to see family, they were isolating by themselves, and sometimes you do just need a person to speak to. So we were that person for them. We did deliver actually essentials to them as well. So we made sure that they got their dry food. Also, during lockdown, we have had Ramadan that came in place. So we made sure that because a lot of our service users are from the BAME community, so we made sure that we had food for them throughout Ramadan as well. And we delivered a lot of things to them. We delivered pastas, we delivered iftari meals. That's what we did for them throughout Ramadan.
Can I just sort of on back of that, we worked in partnership with the Keithley Pathways and also Salvation Army, In Touch Foundation, One Vision from Bradford. So we all sort of collectively came together and we transferred the organisation into a food bank. So now it's a hub. So there's quite a lot of organisations who store their food products, and we've got access to it. So if there is anybody who is in need of food or are going through a difficult patch, there is support available here. And just to look at it again, it's coming back. There was a lot of bereavement in the area. We've lost a couple of our service users to COVID, which was a really hard time for us all, even for the staff, because we've had a lot of relationship with these people for a long time. So to lose them was a massive. It took quite a toll on one of my staff members because she was very, very close to her, personally and professionally. So that was an emotional time. And then it's about offering that support to, you might have a bit of an understanding, is that the way we bereave is that it's like a community bereavement for a person. So it's that tradition, that culture of bereaving together, and there's a closure for the family, maybe after 3 days, with a big prayer, a big feast, and to celebrate the life of the deceased. But they weren't able to do that, and usually they congregate together in the mosque, which wasn't allowed. So it was about that isolation, and it was about bereaving on your own, in your own sort of, within your own sort of very close family. It'll be your children and parents of, and it was a very, very difficult time for some of the family members, and also the impact it had on young people. So there wasn't a space for young people to talk about the bereavement and the loss of their maybe grandparents, aunties, or members of the family. So there was a space provided for that. So, you know, we had conversations. So we were offering emotional and emotional supports. That openness and that accessibility for them to have that was available, and which was absolutely a massive support system put in place for these people and these people from the community. And can I just say that in the beginning, it wasn't just, when we're looking at the diversity, we had the first people who came towards for support was elderly white women, so pensioners who even during our support time that we were supporting them had lost their loved ones as well. So we were offering bereavement support to these families as well. So it was generically, it's been quite an experience in itself.
Okay. Naz and Samina, thank you very much for telling us about that. It sounds like you're doing some amazing work, and it's great to hear all about it. And I don't think it's not over yet, no. But hopefully things will ease a little bit for you. Thank you. Let's move on now to Sharon Golding and Courtney, who I can see just down here. I think they're the Green Tracks Enterprise in Wakefield. They're an organisation who grow organic, affordable vegetables for local communities, usually with an open gate policy, and they provide day placements for people with learning disabilities who come and work in the allotment, enjoy social interaction with others, and enjoy the health and well-being benefits of being able and taking part in physical activities. Courtney, who we see here, is a volunteer with Green Track. She's 22, she has a learning disability, so she's supported by Sharon, who is the manager at Green Tracks, and may leave the Zoom meeting, just point out after the meeting. But great to see you there. Looks like you're out in the sunshine. Lucky you. Can you tell us about how things have been going over the last few months for you?
Well, it's been very different to usual because we've only been able to have one placement per day. And Courtney, you've been on your own, haven't you?
Yeah. Alex.
Yeah, she's normally with somebody else, but she's been on her own. So it's been very different, and we've had to shut our gates where normally people come on site and buy vegetables. But we've set up a little airlock, as it were, where we can serve vegetables over the gate.
Yeah.
And we realised we needed to do something differently, so we were offering a delivery service of making boxes up. So we were very lucky to get the grant. So we applied for a grant to make a little shelter which we're still waiting for the wood to arrive because there's a back order on that, and we've bought a trolley so we can hand deliver locally to people who've been shielding. So apologies if you get feel a bit sick as I move the camera, but we've got the trolley here next to Courtney. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, so Courtney pulls the trolley around the local area, delivering veg boxes to local people.
Oh, well done. Courtney, are you enjoying doing the work?
Yes, she loves it. But what we've also found is that the customers we are getting coming to the gate, we realised during when it was total lockdown and we were essential because we were serving food, that customers were coming, and it was really nice because people could come and just buy 2 onions or something like that, but they could have half an hour chat. And we suddenly realised actually how vital we were to the local community, that people felt they could just approach us and have a little chat. And Courtney was really good. Serving your customers, putting the things on the table, then stepping back, and then for them to pick it. Yeah, we still do that. And a lot of people, they do come primarily for a chat, and the added bonus is they buy a few bits and pieces off us.
So you're offering a dual role really in the community, you know.
It is a dual role. So we've always had an open gate policy where normally we'll let people in, show them around, show them what we're doing, show them how other members of the community can actually provide a difference and they can actually contribute. And we show them what we've been doing. But obviously it's very sad we've had the gates closed, but we're still able to chat to people, and people saying, "Oh, I'm so glad you're open," because they can just walk from the houses down here and be outside while they're buying things, so the risk is a lot lowered.
Yeah. And going forward, are you able to have more volunteers coming in to work with you, or is it still the same policy for now?
Hopefully, when we get the shelter built, which will provide another outside area, so we can socially distance, and with having the trolley, so it means that a member of staff can go out with someone, so it also provides room for somebody on site and then somebody off site delivering. So hopefully we can be a bit more creative with how we take people on site, that we can get back up to at least 2 people, which will be good. And the shelter, when it's built, will mean that we can have outside tea breaks if it rains as well, which is really good.
Okay, thanks so much for telling us about that, and thank you very much, Courtney, for telling us what you do. It's been lovely to see you, and I know that you two may have to get off. I don't know how long you stay, but
it's very hot here, and Courtney's coming on Thursday, so she's coming special, so she needs to.
Well, thank you.
Lovely to see everybody.
Enjoy your day. Enjoy the sunshine.
Recording later on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
that's Sharon and Courtney.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Sharon and Courtney from the Green Tracks Enterprise there in Wakefield. So we move on now to Wakefield Street Kitchen, and Anna Howard is here to speak to us. Hi, Anna. Now I'll just tell everyone a little bit about what you do. You're a volunteer-led organisation that delivers hot food and food parcels to a range of vulnerable people who need the service every day, 5 days a week. Between 95 and 120 key workers receive sandwiches and snacks. You also supply 30 to 40 food packs a week to vulnerable families who have no means to buy food, and you transport and collect donations and distribute them to food banks 5 days a week. That's at least 3 deliveries per day minimum. Wow, you've been working very hard. Is that what you do on a general basis, or is that the increased workload over the last few months? What's it been like?
Okay, well, basically our kitchen is a street kitchen, so we cook the food in an approved kitchen, then we take it out and we set loads of tables out. We've got a van, we unpack everything, and people come to us. But because of COVID, we've not been able to do that. So at the end of our last street kitchen, we all walked away feeling really disheartened on how we're going to carry on providing the service. Our volunteers split into different sectors. We had some of our volunteers go to the food bank. Sharon and myself started making hot meals and sandwiches for key workers. Andy's been looking after the finances. But basically what's actually happened is thanks to this grant, it's not only allowed us to do what we need to do, keeping the food at the right temperatures. We've managed to buy hot boxes. We've managed to buy a refrigerated van. Because of it being summer, we can now access meat products and dairy products, and we can give that more products out into the community. Whatever comes in, we share with food banks. If it's too much for us, we just share with whoever we need to.
Okay, that sounds amazing. That's hard work, very hard work. Yeah,
but very rewarding. Very rewarding.
Has it?
Yeah.
We have stopped now providing sandwiches to the key workers with the lockdown changing. We're now changing to supporting our vulnerable people again. We trial run a new system this week called Meals on Wheels. We've started with a limited number of people, but we hope to expand to 100, maybe 200 a week. So, yeah.
What is the response? Is it Sharon you're sitting with there? Sharon, you're obviously out in the community as well. What has been the response of the people when you've been delivering the food?
Oh, they've just been so grateful, you know, and it's been quite humbling that, you know, we're doing what we're doing because we love it, but you know, the response and the feedback we've got has just been so overwhelming. You know, there's so many grateful people out there, obviously embarrassed that they're in the situation they're in, but you know, if it weren't for you know, charities like us and other charities, you know, it's unbelievable, you know, as to where they would be. You know, obviously the mental state of people has risen as well. You know, there is help out there. It's just, you know, having, you know, the courage to ask for it or to know where to look for it, you know.
Yeah. One little obstacle we did have this year that was quite interesting is Easter. Now, every Easter I put on this massive bunny costume, and we visit the old age homes. The reason we visit the old age homes is every Easter everybody thinks about children, but not many people think about the elderly. And then also we had an excess of Easter eggs, so we want to get it onto the children's ward at the hospital. And thanks to our Mayor of Wakefield, Councillor Charles Key, he and I came up with a plan, and we did a little video with the bunny coming in. I told him I wasn't hopping because you haven't seen the size of the feet. And he did a video of me coming in the bunny outfit, putting the eggs out, and then he took a video of them taking it up to the children's ward. And then they played this for the kids, which was absolutely amazing. We then visited the children's creche where all the nurses had their children. I kind of felt like I was in a zoo because I weren't allowed to go near the kids. So I was kind of placed in the middle of this like playground, and everybody was, you know, all the kids were in the barrier, and I only made 2 kids cry, which was great. Then we went on to the old age homes, and we kind of worked to them the best we could from the window, you know, just to do something. Obviously with this COVID, it's had a devastating effect, and the numbers of people that we've lost, especially the old age homes, is, yeah, it's sad. We do this every Easter and every Christmas, visiting the elderly, and taking handmade gifts, blankets, whatever. So we're not just a street kitchen. We're very much, we feed anybody in the community. We look after anybody in the community. No judgment, no questions. You need a hot meal, you come to us. We do what we can.
Okay, well done. And Andy, do you say, is Andy the next to you? You're the numbers man.
Yeah, he's the numbers man.
During lockdown, I've been working from home, so I've taken a bit of a back seat. So I've been playing housewife, so that Anna can do what she wants to do during this time. So, but generally, I'll be the treasurer and just generally lift and shift things.
What vital work. That's been so nice to find out what you're doing. Thank you so much for telling us all about it. Thank you, Anna, Sharon and Andy there. Now we're going to move on to Yassine Mohammed from the Bradford Moorplay and Support Service. Can I see you on there? Are you there? Yes, you're there. I can see you. I'm looking across the screen. I'm wearing my glasses here. Yes, I'll just explain what you do. Your Bradford Moor PASS is a resident-led voluntary group which informally started in 2007 with the aim of reducing crime and antisocial behaviour in Bradford Moor. The group is made up of over 22 active volunteers of different backgrounds, delivering community activities including sports, educational and social cohesion programmes. Yassine, how have you found lockdown and the challenging time over the last few months?
Yeah. Firstly, hello to everybody, and thank you for inviting us. I mean, Christine, what we're going to do is Amjad's actually going to talk about the project, and then I'm going to actually kind of finish off. So he'll actually specifically talk about the background to Bradford Moor Pass, because I've been a volunteer, and Amjad and the team are the guys that actually really do the serious work. So if Amjad, you kick off, and then I'll kind of finish off.
Thanks, Yassine. Yeah, hello everybody. So my name's Untitled and I work as a volunteer at Bradford Moor Pass. So we're all volunteers, as you pointed out, Christy. You mentioned a little bit of the background. So we've been going for quite a while, and we've done a number of different projects over the years. We are a volunteer-led organisation. That's really been our strength for us, and it's what's allowed us to deliver lots of projects. Specifically around lockdown. So we've done a range of projects in the past. When it comes to lockdown, we've had quite an interesting experience, really. So a few points in terms of what we've been doing. Initially, we did shut down. We had a volunteer-led organisation, and we were conscious of our volunteers. So we did shut down initially. However, we very quickly realised that there was an issue within the patch that we work in Bradford Moor, whereas there was a real lack of compliance around lockdown. So we found, certainly in the early stages, people didn't take it very seriously. We found that the parks and the playgrounds were still full of children and young people, and that there was some scepticism around the whole COVID virus. So we did some work with West Yorkshire Police, and we went out there as volunteers, and we spoke to lots of families, we spoke to lots of young people, and we tried to do some work around ensuring compliance. Now, thankfully, lots of other people were also involved with that, so that took off fairly quickly, and thankfully that was resolved. But it was quite a scary time initially, where people weren't taking it seriously. With respect to some of the other activities, some of them have been mirrored by some of the great work that's already been mentioned this morning, and there are some similarities to what we've done. So we've stayed in touch with lots of older people in our area, particularly those that have been isolated, and particularly those that have been self-isolating and shielding. We've done some deliveries around food parcels. But I think the bigger impact that we've had with older people in particular is around staying in touch and around having conversations. So that mirrors a little bit what the ladies from Keighley were talking about in terms of actually staying in touch with people and in terms of having some human contact, because a lot of the older that we found were isolated, especially where they were living on their own without families. And apart from the odd phone call that they'd have, and apart from food parcel deliveries, there really was a big issue around isolation. So that was very helpful. And in terms of that feedback that we've got, that the actual contact was the bit that people felt was the most valuable thing about what we did. We've done some work, a little bit of work around domestic violence as well, in the sense that we've stayed in touch with people where we felt there was people at risk and where there was some vulnerability. So we all know that during lockdown, instances of domestic violence have gone up disproportionately, and we've tried to keep an eye on that. And a lot of our volunteers have been out in the community and talking to people. We're certainly by no means experts on that subject. It's a very sensitive area, and our work has been around flagging and around referring. So we've done a lot of that, but again, our work has been around trying to keep in touch with people there. And then the other things we've done are providing activity parcels for young people, for children and young people. So again, we got some feedback sort of halfway through lockdown where families were really struggling to cope with young people and children in particular. We have a community garden in Bradford Moor that we run, And one of the real impacts of lockdown is that we've not been able to have children and young people in there as we normally would at this time of year. So we've made up environmental food parcels, and we've had people growing herbs and veg and small plant pots and children at home, and they've been taking pictures and sending them to us over social media and stuff. So that's been really great, and that's a way of keeping in contact with those young people. So those are some of the things that we've done. Either we haven't done previously, or that we've done more of during lockdown, I think. I'm going to ask Yassine to say a couple of things as well before we finish, if that's okay.
Right, okay, Amjad, that was really helpful. I mean, before I kind of come on to a couple of those things, I mean, it's nice to see actually a few familiar faces. I can see Jonathan in the bottom right on my laptop, and I've met Ed a few times with my good friend Zulfi, who's also his deputy lieutenant as well. I mean, I think I'm just kind of giving you a really good flavour of what Bradford Moorplay does. But I'll just give you an example of something that I briefly mentioned to colleagues at the foundation last week in a separate Zoom call. We recently got approached by another local group, a Friends of Bradford Moor Park group. And I think what we're all seeing is over the last 3-4 months, there's a lot of kind of community kind of activation. People have got great ideas. People are actually kind of coming together. And the park project in the BD3 area of Bradford is really, really important. Obviously, because of lockdown, people need to be able to kind of actually get out, have their daily exercise, still kind of interact with people, obviously, at a socially distant kind of in that kind of way. But just with the park, through Amjad and Ibrahim and others in our team, we've been able to help that group. They've already organised a litter pick. They've got other events organised kind of going forward. But it's just an example of you might be based in Keighley or Wakefield, but there might be others in your local area who can actually perhaps take tips from you. You can explain to people the journey that you've been on, and it's all about really trying to do a lot more in our areas. And perhaps my kind of last kind of really word on this is maybe what the last 3-4 months are actually showing us all is that actually we can actually be a lot more caring, because everyone's almost had an opportunity just to slow down and almost kind of reset, which is fantastic. Maybe we won't get this opportunity again, and in some ways, clearly we don't want to be going through another pandemic, but hopefully going forward, everybody will certainly have a lot more time for each other. So I'll leave it at that.
Yassine and Amjad, thank you so much, and a great note to end it on there. I think that has everyone is thinking, everything is different. What can we learn from this going forward and change the way we are really about life in general? Thank you so much. That's brilliant. We'll move on now to Joanna Cosgrove from Integrated for Solutions Calderdale. Joanna set up Integrated for Solutions in May 2019, is now heading up a team who are providing a wide range of support during the pandemic. Integrated for Solutions CIC is a community interest company that is currently piloting their services to bridge the gap between statutory services and third sector provisions by focusing on providing support to individuals surrounding all dimensions of health, mental health and well-being. Joanna, can you say a little bit more about how it's been for you during lockdown?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're there as Ben Dillon, obviously, because it's your son, but...
Yeah. I'm not very good at technology, sorry. So Integrated Solutions in itself had a project called Project Reset, which was the holistic wellbeing and work with people around all different aspects of the life. And then just before lockdown, we've been doing some volunteering with Halifax Homeless and Community Kitchen, which is a street kitchen that runs at a bus station in the middle of Halifax. And they were serving about 60 to 70 individuals come in where they were given food, and it created a bit of a safe space for them to talk and socialise with people. And when I was doing my volunteering there, it became quite apparent that there's a lot of additional needs, just as well as the food, need. And so I thought, well, it's a good opportunity to offer my provision where, as well as meeting that immediate need of not having food or being in a food poverty kind of area, kind of see how we can kind of move forward with those individuals, making sure that they had all the different kind of support networks that they needed in place. So when lockdown happened, being a street provision, they had to close their kitchen, and we decided to join forces, and we actually created and come up with a new project called Calderdale Community Matters Project. And that involved, with the help of the Community Foundation, receive funding so that we could start providing food parcels for people in the community. So we get our referrals coming through from social services, from Sure Start, from Horton Housing and YPAS, and lots of other kind of statutory services that are in Calderdale. And we started off initially with helping, I think it was about 40 families and 3 schools. And then within weeks, we're delivering and sourcing food and meeting or talking to people and families. So yeah, went from about 40 to about 420 per week. So that was a lot of hard work for the team. The team is really quite small. I think we've got a team of 6, and we deliver on a Tuesday, Friday and a Sunday. And obviously the day before, it was about sourcing food, packing food, and the team then getting there the next day to deliver the food parcel. So that is really, really time consuming, but the team absolutely love what we're doing. A lot of the team come back with feedback saying such and such a person said really grateful for what we've provided. When it was Easter, we had Easter eggs donated by Nestle. When it was, and just we've become part of the food poverty network in Calderdale. So we've been continuing that provision. So that's one side of what we've been doing. And the other side was the mental health and wellbeing. So as awful as it sounds, COVID has been a massive big opportunity to actually bring to the surface people who didn't realise that they were in a bit of a rut, or they needed the support, or they didn't know the support was out there. We've worked with people who've been suffering from domestic violence. We've worked with people who are pregnant and have been homeless. We've been working with prison leavers. We've been working with everybody and anybody, just making sure that they've got the right support in place. It's been a little bit easier when it comes to barriers because being a social care practitioner and a social pedagogue, I've known how to and where to signpost. But places like single point of access and Noah's Ark have been an absolutely amazing part of like partnering, but not in partnership. You just kind of go to whichever service is out there that you think can help. And it's alleviated a lot of, like, I've had some people who've come to us who COVID's happened, been struggling with finances, and when we've been talking to them, they've been on the brink of wanting to harm themselves or do something really, really serious. So we'll have those conversations, get the mental health team imminently involved, and then it'll come about that the reasons for those triggers are financial issues due to whether it was universal credit or still having sanctions on accounts, or the credit union place where they go to access the money had stopped, or they're just in masses of debt, hadn't realised how bad the situation had escalated, and with the COVID kind of the not being able to go out, so the mental health deteriorating anyway. So then I was partnering with like the relevant services to make sure, one, the immediate need of the mental health was dealt with, but then was signposted to Noah's Ark, for instance, where they took on the debt and they pay for, I can't remember what it's called. People owe a certain amount of money, and then normally it's like £500 to get rid of that. So they do that as part of what their charity work is. And it's seeing literally in a matter of days our involvement having a massive impact on these families that we're supporting. There's hundreds of stories. I could sit here and talk to you all day, all the different involvements we've had with people. It's been a massive eye-opener. Even working with, you'd go to deliver a food parcel to an Eastern European family, and then you realise that actually they aren't aware of the social work framework, they aren't aware of the benefit system or anything like that, where to access food, what things in the local area. You get really used to Google Translate, has been a godsend. It doesn't obviously translate specific words, so that's been amusing. I got told the other day that a dad had kidnapped his son to take him to school. That does kind of make you laugh, but it's kind of making those connections with people that you'd not think were there, wouldn't recognise that they had any issues or hardships or anything, because they're just plodding on in their normal life, and it's not kind of providing a service which is involving going to see people, going to deliver something that they really need and really need help with, and then you just kind of open up communication, don't you, and just say, right, okay, so we're helping you with this immediate need, what's going on in your life, what do you need help with, and that's really how it's kind of developed. So yeah, we've gone from 40 people to about 480 families, individuals that we've been helping, and then trying to obviously make sure that we've got other access and support in place within support services in Collegedale. And I've heard my voice now, so I'm going to stop.
Thank you so much, Joanna. That was so interesting as well. I think the mental health side of things is fascinating, because that is something really that is for many people getting worse, isn't it? It's not really improving as we do start to ease lockdown. But thank you. I know anyone who wants to ask questions can a little later. We'll move on now to I'm seeing time is going quickly. Richard Colebrook from Flourishing Families in Leeds. Flourishing Families is dedicated to removing barriers which hinder people from flourishing. Their vision is to see children growing in confidence and fulfilling their potential, supporting parents and whole families, encouraging them to connect well with each other and the community. They work in areas of the city ranked amongst the most deprived, 1% to 5% nationally, partnering with local primary schools, social care and other organisations, focusing on supporting children most at risk from deprivation, intergenerational poverty and social isolation. Richard, obviously as well, I guess with the schools being closed, that will all have added into the problems that you're already dealing with. Can you
Yes, lots and lots of changes. I don't know, Rachel, can I screen share just to show a couple of photos that gives you a feel for what we're doing? Can you enable that for me? Brilliant. So yeah, lots of changes going on for us. We started 3 years ago, and as a charity with a couple of volunteers. Here we go. Let me show you some photos. And Leeds Community Foundation gave us a grant to run off one of our first pilot projects, which was a cookery club, which has grown and grown and grown. So there's another cookery club photo. We're now about to start a project with Leeds City Council, leading for them on their anti-childhood obesity drive for primary school children. So the charity has grown. Just before lockdown, we were working with 550 people directly across 43 projects. That's some of our language stuff we do for people where English is an additional language. That's a creators club where children and parents can come together for positive activities. We do lots of mentoring for children. This is activity-based mentoring stuff there. And this is another project. We found that one of our schools we were working with, 60% of the parents had a reading age of less than an 11-year-old. So this is one of our literacy programs, and the children come in to help with their reading, but you bring the parents and carers in as well. And on the quiet, without them having to admit that they can't read and face that embarrassment, they're able to learn to read. Since lockdown, that's another one of the literacy programs. Since lockdown, everything has changed. We've now been feeding families, as this is one of the families we've been feeding, There's a couple of Leeds Rhino guys who came to do some shopping for us. They are brilliant at carrying tin cans. We've been doing all that sort of stuff. We've set up 3 food banks in 3 primary schools. Our cookeries, the recipes have been designed to be very simple and repeatable at home, but nutritious and healthy. So we've been delivering food packs and that sort of stuff. The big thing now for us is looking ahead. And that's where quite a bit of the resilience funding from LCF is going to go for us. I don't know if you've seen some of the stats. You've probably seen them on the news. I'm sure you have, Christine. 2/3 of children in the UK have not accessing any online lessons during lockdown. The government estimated that 20% of children would be in school during lockdown. It's actually 2%, not 20%. And right across the UK, only 58,000 children who were classed as vulnerable have been accessing any sort of education. So the gaps are getting bigger. The main driver for persistent poverty in these areas is educational underachievement. These children arrive at school typically 18 months behind in their development, with a vocabulary of 20% of that of an average child. And those gaps are getting bigger during lockdown. So we're gearing up for a massive mentoring program to work with schools in September. So that's what's happening for us. So it's both feeding families and gearing up to go in September.
Have you found, Richard, what the situation? Sorry, I dashed off there because the guy next door started mowing his lawn, which you can probably hear, wouldn't you know? And have you found, you know, that obviously you're saying children are not accessing any education at all, not even able to access online lessons because maybe they don't have access to...
they don't have the internet and that sort of things. A lot of the schools are not delivering online lessons because they won't be accessed.
Right. Okay.
So because they're not on the internet, and if you as a parent are not able to read, then it's very difficult to help your child in education. So through this pandemic, the poor will be getting poorer. The gaps are getting bigger, and you know the national press is talking about a lost generation, aren't they? There's a danger of a lost generation of children from more deprived backgrounds really sort of being so far behind educationally that gap gets bigger, and we've got even more trapped in this poverty trap.
Okay, very, very worrying indeed. Rich, thank you. Thanks very much indeed. And we'll move on now to Jonathan Morgan. Jonathan, from St Vincent's in Leeds. Jonathan, obviously St Vincent's Support Centre is a community hub based in East Leeds. The centre offers a range of activities and support, including classes, groups, counselling, debt advice and a large inclusive volunteering programme. The centre wants everyone to feel that they belong in the community and has the opportunity to thrive. Jonathan, how have you been dealing with things over the last few months?
Well, my experience of St Vincent's is very recent, and I can only speak of its response to the lockdown. Really, I very quickly wheeled Sheena in when I saw a few experts on the screens who runs the centre here. It might be useful if she gave a bit of context about what happens here normally, and then I can talk about my experience. I arrived here on the 23rd of March. I've been here full time ever since. In terms of what I've seen and learned in the response cycle, if you like. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Sheila?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We try to socially distance, so hello everybody. So I'm the centre manager here, and in normal times, as you just explained, we would be doing debt advice, counselling, education, group activities for people that are socially isolated. And we've got an on-site cafe, so we've always provided food. And we've always had free food provision so people could come in and help themselves. So the Thursday before everybody else went into lockdown, we have immigration support on a Thursday, and the place is absolutely heaving with people, which is how we like it. And on the Thursday, I looked around and I thought, oh, this is too dangerous for us to keep going. So we made the decision to shut down on the 16th of March. It was a terrible decision for us, because the place is always full of people, and it's a community hub in LS9, so it's in one of the most deprived areas. and we're a place that the community know that they can come, get support, even if it's not one of the sort of traditional services that we run, they'll know to come and ask for help for anything that's sort of affecting their lives. So we decided that we needed to shut the doors. We've kept advice going over the phone, and immigration and debt advice going over the phone. And then we just knew that there was a huge need in LS9 for food provision. So we thought, right, okay, we're going to step up for that one. So rather than people coming in to get the food, we decided we'd take it out. Started off by doing breakfast boxes in the morning, so that's fresh food, and sandwiches and milk if we have it. And then at lunchtime, we've been providing hot meals, but from a safe space outside. The incredible thing for us in LS9 is that it hasn't rained hardly at all. We've been able to safely provide food outside for the last, however, 13 weeks. On the 23rd of March, Mr. Jonathan Morgan arrived. We know each other before the 23rd of March. I think when he came first, he found the three of us that had remained in work, three of us, the paid members of staff, basically drowning, I think it's fair to say. There was a massive need for the services and the food, but we were just the three of us, just basically trying to find our way through it. We have also found, as we've heard other people speak, I haven't dressed as an Easter bunny. I failed on that one. We did 170 Easter eggs at Easter. We've had 2 Christmas dinners complete with crackers and hats out on the street in takeaway boxes. We have activity packs for children. Again, we were hearing from parents that they were at home with no access to the internet. We've done, we've helped street bus guys because some of the services shut in the city centre. We've helped them navigate the world. So it's much more than just about the food. We've done home deliveries, a home dental pack. Who even knew that was such a thing existed? Somebody was in lockdown and had toothache. And we've tried our very best just to be the place that people can still come and get the support that they need. Jonathan, do you want to talk about your experience with this?
Yeah, so I've run a business in Leeds for 30 years, I think, so I'm pretty much used to steering my own ship. And then I sold that business last July. So I went from working all hours to a 2-day-a-week contract. And then I got furloughed, absolutely disgracefully, I thought, on the 23rd of March. And I've been furloughed ever since. And I was feeling a little bit sorry for myself. I've been having felt very, had a great direction for as long as I can remember. Suddenly I was slightly rudderless. So I put a bit of a soppy note out on LinkedIn or Twitter, I can't remember. And somebody at Mencat picked it up, put me in touch with Sheena, and I rocked up here. And I think what I would say, there's a lot of talk about how grateful organisations are for their volunteers, but I can assure you it's an absolutely a two-way street, and the sense of direction and purpose it's given me has been probably for me mentally an absolute lifesaver without being over dramatic in terms of the transition I was going through. So that's point number one. I think point number two is that, I mean, I've long been around the Community Foundation. I was a trustee there for 6 or 7 years, and so I'm not blind to the reality of areas such as the one that I'm currently working in. And yet I have been slightly surprised, unpleasantly surprised by the depth of need, by the scale of problems, by the fundamental lack of achievement, opportunity, direction, food, mentoring, education, healthcare, the degree to which drugs form a massive part of culture day to day. And I think the need for us as a city to stop talking about how child-friendly we are and be a little bit more honest about how the scale of fundamental challenges that we face. I'm not blind to them, I never have been, but this has really sharpened my interest in trying to do something about that. I think in parallel to what I've been doing here, I've got involved with the drive to deal with the rough sleeping problem. That's now a national government initiative, massive backing. So I've actually had a couple of calls from here with the ministry, a couple of advisors to the government, which is really interesting. And we've seen that, as Sheena said, we've seen that manifested here whilst they were being put up in hotels. They weren't being fed, so they were turning up here in a terrible state. And Sheena had invented a way of creating bags rather than hot food that they could take away with them and eat without having to cook. And I think the other thing I would just say is that I always felt when I came here that some of the value that I could add, because clearly I know nothing about this sort of place, it's not part of my life other than what I've learned through the foundation. The value that I felt I could add was just to introduce people to each other and connect the dots. And I think the degree to which the organic networks, and I think somebody referred to it earlier, the degree to which the organic networks have developed at pace has been extraordinary. It's a testament to what goodwill can do to affect change. I mean, we're picking up on a weekly basis, we're picking up food from places that we didn't know before. We've got a network of 6 or 7 people and groups, 3 or 4 schools who are providing food parcels. So we're picking up food from a distributor, bringing it here, schools are picking it up, and then it's going out in food parcels to people who have a massive need. And I think finally I would say that it's hugely amplified my respect for the third sector and the role that it plays, hugely amplified my determination to try and affect some positive change and to encourage the city leadership to be much more honest about the challenges that we face across Leeds, Bradford and Wakefield and other cities, and start to put in place some mechanisms to properly support the third sector, because the third sector ultimately is the vehicle that is making change. And the dynamic to me is third sector driven by City Council to effect change, because these are the groups that have the trust of the people that they're supporting. So it's been an experience that I will never forget, and I'm going to stay around here. As I keep getting a call from the chief exec on a Monday, and I'm dreading that it's going to tell me he wants me back at work, but so far so good.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. That I think you summed up, I think, a lot of what people think about the volunteering that goes on, and also it is a two-way street. As you say, you have gained a great deal now from it yourself personally, but look at what we've heard today, the amazing work that's going on in the community. And I've just seen Steve Duncan, who's with us from the Calderdale Community Foundation, saying, where would we be without all this? It's truly inspirational. You're the glue that holds society together. I've been blown away by everything I've heard, and amazed at how much work has just gone on in the last few months. I mean, we report things on calendar, but I think we miss a hell of a lot that's going on out there in the community, and it's made me think as well about a lot of areas that we need to be looking at to highlight issues in the future. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Anybody? Okay. No one wants to further anything they've heard today. I'll hand you over now then to Ed to round up today's session. Ed, back to you.
Thank you, Christine. I thought we had a very poor handover at the beginning when I never really mentioned that I was handing over to you. Duncan would have been horrified to see it. But anyway, that's a lovely handover. So can I just thank all of you for the most incredible hour that we've just spent. It's been one of the best hours I've had since I took on this position, and I just wish it could have gone on. I think Joanna said, oh, I could speak for all day about this, and that was the real sense that I got. But I've been incredibly struck by the way that the voluntary sector has mobilized in response to the COVID crisis. And it's involved so many organizations and individuals right across West Yorkshire and obviously across the country as a whole. And I was trying to think of a way of describing what had happened. And I'm sure this isn't original, but I thought it's like a wave of kindness that's swept across the county. A lot of people have mentioned partnership working, and I think Jonathan just summed that up really nicely at the end there. Many people mentioned it during their contributions, but hearing from you all today has really brought to life what's been happening in the voluntary sector, particularly over these last 3 months, and I've found it really inspirational. I would love to come and visit every single one of the organizations, and I'm conscious that that Green Tracks are not with us, but I should make sure I contact them as well. One of the last things I did before lockdown was to visit St. Vincent, and as the hour was going on, I was thinking, is that Sheena in the background? I'm pretty sure it is Sheena in the background, and sure enough it was. So St. Vincent is a charity which I do know reasonably well, but I would love, if you would like me to come and visit all the organisations that have been on this call today when circumstances allow that to happen. I'd like to pick up the point that a number of people have made. Lots of people have been motivated during this time to take up volunteering or to support charities. And I think it's really important to emphasize that this isn't a time-limited affair, and that as we come out of COVID, the need for volunteers and the need for charities to be supported will be there, probably more than it's ever been. Yassine mentioned the opportunity to be more caring going forward, and I think that's what we need to tap into. And yes, I've been enjoying Steve Duncan, who's one of my deputy lieutenants, chief exec of Community Foundation for Calderdale. I've been enjoying his contributions on the chat function, and he used this phrase which I love, which is self-evidently true, that the work of the voluntary sector is the glue that holds society together. And I don't think any of us could really bear to imagine what society would be like without that work. So to finish off, I'd like to say some thank yous. I'd like to thank the Leeds Community Foundation for organising this session today. I've been looking forward to it so much. I was very excited when I woke up this morning, and it's been everything that I hoped it would be, and I hope all of you have enjoyed it as well. Secondly, thank you to all of you for spending the time today to share your experiences, and finally to express my heartfelt thanks to every single one of you for everything that you've been doing and continue to do for the community. So thank you so much. Christine, I hand over back to you now to wind up. A seamless handover, hopefully.
Thank you, Ed. Yeah, no, as I said, I've been blown away. I think it's been wonderful to talk to you all this morning. I feel very moved by it, actually, by the kindness that is out there, and how crisis and difficult times brings out the good in people. And I think you're doing this all year round, but I think what we've seen and what the examples we've heard of the great lengths you're going to help people in our community who need it, and on every level, has been quite an emotional experience for me. So thank you very much for asking me to be involved today. So unless Kate, do you want to say anything else, or are we finished now?
This is just my chance to thank our volunteers, and that is Ed, Christine. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it, and I couldn't echo your sentiments more. I think really it's so inspirational hearing what everyone's doing. Fantastic work. It's a privilege to be involved in a small way in helping that move forward, and we're really looking forward to working alongside you more as we come out. I think, as Jonathan said, you know, there's a very, very significant amount of work that happens in our community sector, and it needs to be recognised, but it also needs to be recognised that it's a long-term relationship that we build. And that's not just it's a bit like what Ed was saying, it's not just for Christmas, or not for lockdown, it is actually for long term. And actually, if we can build together something which is more caring, boy, it will have been worth it in some respects. I think that's it though. Thank you very much for your time today, and we will, I think, be sharing, Rachel, we will be sharing, if we can, a connection to the recording.
Yeah, well, I'll share it with everybody, and then I'll just get in touch with everybody, and if you're happy for me to share your details with Ed to arrange those visits, you know, once lockdown is over, that would be great.
Okay, thank you everybody, enjoy the rest of your days.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.